Hello and welcome to Fit to Box channel. Please like and subscribe and don't forget to jab that notifications bell for all my latest uploads. Today we've got a fight discussion and we're going to be discussing some upcoming fights that are of particular interest to us here. On my left I've got Alex and on the far side there I've got Damien. As normal we're going to be giving our opinion on the fights that are coming up, and also we'll do a brief recap on the fights that we did in the last fight discussion also. So the first fight that we'll talk about tonight is going to be Eubank Jr. versus Groves. Then we'll have a little look at how Wilder and Ortiz got on, and AJ and Parker. So the fights we're going to be covering off today is Tony Bellew and David Haye 2. And we're also going to have a look at Lomachenko versus Linares. But first of all, I do want to cover off some of the previous discussions, fights that we did our predictions for. And we're starting off with Chris Eubank Jr. versus George Groves. The decision, the actual result of that one was a unanimous decision to George Groves. I'll just give you the points. There was 117, 112, 116, 112 and 115, 113. In terms of what they wore on the night from an equipment point of view, as you know, my equipment channel is about gloves and headguards and all the different equipment that you can get for boxing. Eubank wore his normal winning boxing gloves and Groves wore his normal Grant boxing gloves. Now in terms of our predictions, let's go first across to Damien. His prediction was Eubank's points win, which is clearly wrong.
It's awful. No, nowhere near. I thought I thought Eubank's engine toward the latter part of the fight would show, and in the last round he sort of did give it a bit of a go, and then Groves got a quite nasty injury, which obviously let Eubank come on to him. But I thought throughout the fight, dare I say, Eubank looked a little bit amateurish. He looked a bit lost. Didn't work off any kind of a jab. I think he just thought he could get close to Groves and just do him some damage. And Groves very sensibly worked off the jab, boxed beautifully. Didn't give Eubank the openings, and just got it wrong way round.
Yeah. Same here. I thought Eubank would be too powerful, and I said that he was going to stop him late on, so I got it wrong as well. But once again, Alex got it right. Groves on points, absolutely spot on. How did you see it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think what I thought before was Eubank just couldn't get in close enough to Groves. I thought Groves would keep him at bay with his jabs. I didn't think Eubank was good enough for covering the distance. I thought he can't control the distance well enough against someone like Groves, who's longer and bigger as well. So yeah, I think that's pretty much what happened. If I remember right, I think Groves just kept him at the end of his jab the whole.
I think it was Groves making Eubank Jr. look worse than he was, not that Eubank Jr. is rubbish.
No, he's still really good, isn't he?
He's still a really good fighter. It's just a matter of, I just think that George Groves just outboxed him and had that game plan, and I don't think that Eubank Jr. not having a proper trainer is helping him at all.
Not at all, no. It's the worst thing he's done, I think, is he's not hire a proper trainer. He thinks he can train himself, doesn't he? But
and he obviously can't.
No.
So
fitness-wise, he obviously can, but when it comes to technique and strategy, I think you need a real trainer.
The thing is, who's he going to listen to?
Yeah, he's quite strong-minded, isn't he? I think he doesn't want a trainer, and that's that, really.
Yeah, so we'll have to see how that pans out. But another successful prediction for you, Alex. The next fight that we're going to have a look at, which is one that we did predictions on, was Wilder versus Ortiz. Wilder, ref stopped the contest with Ortiz in round 10. Wilder, he wore his black Everlast gloves. He's sponsored by Everlast. And Ortiz wore green and black Rival boxing gloves. Again, he normally wears Rival. So on this one, Damien, you said Wilder KO mid to late rounds or the ref jumps in. So you was pretty spot on with that. How did you see that fight?
It panned out as I thought, really. I just thought the Ortiz did prove early on. Again, technically, and Wilder always gets that criticism. But if you can box against Wilder, he struggles with the kind of the sort of technical aspect, and I think Ortiz did prove that at various points. Wilder is hittable. Someone that can box and has got good technique, they will catch him, and Wilder's a few times has been rocked. But he has that get out of jail card every time. He's got that big looping hooks and straights. And he caught Ortiz, and then that accumulation, I think he knocked him down a couple of times. I think the round where he got stopped, it was 2 or 3 times that he went down.
But he had some dodgy moments himself, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
He didn't have it all his own way.
No, not at all. But I think it sort of panned out. How I saw it, it would just gradually breaking down, the power would be too much, and that was it.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair on this one, we all said Wilder. I said KO within 5. Alex said be quite tight and TKO in 7. And then obviously the closest to it was obviously yourself, Damien. What about you, Alex? What did you think of the fight?
Yeah, I mean, I think Wilder's just fortunate. He's got that power, hasn't he? Because there was points in the fight where Ortiz looked like he had it, and there wasn't there a point as well where Wilder didn't come out from the corner in the right time or something. Like it was almost as if he was using the time to recover.
To recover, probably was.
Because I did think that at one point Ortiz really had him in trouble, and I did think Ortiz was going to finish him. But Wilder just hung in there, and he's got that power, isn't he? And we think a fair bit of youth on Ortiz as well. Yeah,
because we think Ortiz is like 70.
Yeah.
No one knows.
Nobody knows.
No.
He could be 38 or 72. One of the two. So, but I was actually pleased that he did come through, because we're still on for that fight with AJ. Moving on to that, AJ versus Parker. AJ won unanimous points. AJ, he wore his normal rival boxing gloves, and Parker went with his normal Clayton Reyes gloves. And for this one, I was actually the one that got closest. I said that AJ would carry him to get the rounds and knock him out, say round 8 or 9. Obviously, he went to points. I think if AJ had let go of his right hand, he just looked like he didn't want to commit because he thought he was going to get hit. So if he'd have done what he normally does, I think I would have been spot on. But the fact that he just didn't let that right hand go, and I thought that Parker was open for that shot all night long.
Yeah, he was.
And he just never took it.
Yeah.
For this one, Alex, you said Joshua. We all said Joshua, to be fair. Joshua KO within 5, and Damien exactly the same within 5.
I mean, I think something you got to mention about this fight as well was the ref kept splitting them up really early in the fight, didn't he?
Yeah.
And I thought like if you let him fight for longer, I think there would have probably been a KO a lot earlier. I think.
Yeah. So you think it benefited Parker?
No, I think it benefited AJ.
Oh right, okay.
I know Parker was trying to get on the inside of AJ, wasn't he? But I just think when they did get on the inside, I just thought AJ looked more dangerous than Parker did. I think he's got more power, and I think if the ref had let him fight, just a little bit longer, didn't keep breaking them up, I think AJ would have had him, to be honest.
Right, okay. So I'll get what you're saying. So I mean, we had the 3 fight predictions. We had the 3 fights. It was quite a sort of in-depth one last time, because what we was doing, of course, was we was looking forward quite ahead to those fights, and of course they come and they've all happened now, and now we're looking forward to the fights that we're really looking forward to in the next couple of weeks. Tony Bellew and David Haye, the second meeting, that's on Saturday the 5th of May. Tony Bellew normally wears Grant, and Haye normally wears he normally wears Grant, but he's in training. He's been wearing Fly, so we'll have to see what they actually wear in the fight. How do you see this one, Damien?
It's a mix. It's head and heart. Head is saying Haye, because now we've got through that first fight. Haye completely underestimated Bellew in that first fight and just thought he could turn up. He was throwing wild amateur shots and just thought he could just smack him one and that'd be it. And it'd be all over and he'd be waving at the crowd. And he got humbled, whether it really did humble him. But I know a lot of people say, well, without the injury, it still probably would have been a Haye win. But I still think the later the fight went,
do you think he was injured before though?
I think there's obviously something wasn't quite right, and then the same again for this fight. I think his body's he's had that many incidents and injuries, and whether it's been a bit of an excuse or genuine injuries with his shoulder and his toe, this, that, and the other. I just think his body's just broken now, and he's got past that point of where he's not really able to do what he did, obviously 10 years ago, and he's trying to do it and he can't, and his body won't respond.
Has he got one more
down.
fight left in him?
I hope not. which is kind of 10 years ago I thought that it was the bee's knees, and I followed his career very closely, and since the loss to Klitschko and the excuses that he's come out with, steadily my opinion's just gone and gone and gone.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan of Tony Bellew, to be honest. His fighting style and his kind of his attitude. A lot of people don't like him, but I personally I do, and I sort of see this in a strange sort of way when you think of this fight and you look at films and they kind of sort of portray boxing. This is the classic Apollo Creed and Rocky Balboa. You've got the David Haye, the flamboyant Apollo Creed sort of character, all the sass and things. He can just turn up and he's got all the skill, and he has, but he doesn't use them. Bellew's the Rocky Balboa. He's got far less skill, but he's got a heart, and he's got a no-quit attitude, and he will keep going and keep going and keep going, and he will break his man. And I just think that's, I want that to happen again. My head says a little bit of it shouldn't happen, and Haye should know once bitten, twice shy. But my predictions on Bellew again, just repeat.
Yeah.
Repeat.
So you
revenge or repeat? I'm on repeat.
You're on repeat. And what sort of points or round?
Same again. Late stoppage.
Late stoppage.
Same again. Repeat. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Alex.
I'm thinking I'm on the sort of the opposite sort of side of the spectrum, really. I think that Haye is like levels above Bellew personally.
Yes.
I think Bellew got really fortunate in the first fight, with the injury to Haye. Obviously, there was bits where there was parts of the fight where Haye just could not walk. He shouldn't have been in there really.
And he didn't stop him, even though he only had one
he
leg.
was trying, wasn't he? Same as Damien. I prefer Bellew as a person to Haye. I think, especially in recent sort of years, I think Haye's got this sort of chip on his shoulder since the Klitschko fight, and I think he thinks the whole boxing scene knows him a favour. He's quite cocky. Obviously, he's got this Haymaker promotions and whatnot now. And I think if you're going to do Haymaker promotions, do that. Or if you're going to fight, do that. I don't think you can be serious about one or the other unless you do.
I think he's looking at a career after his boxing.
He is.
He's just at the very tail end now, and it's just a matter of whether or not he sees this as one final payday, or whether he really does think that this is a stepping stone onto a bigger fight. I hope that it is the fact that he thinks, right, this is a stepping stone onto, say, one more big fight. I would hate to think that he's just doing it for the money, and we're all thinking it's going to be a really sort of competitive fight, and he might, as Damon said, he might be in a position where his injuries and his body will let him down, or has already let him down in the training now. He had an Achilles heel, he had the shoulder, he had the bicep injury. A lot has gone wrong, and they're quite major things that have happened to him.
Yeah, they are.
And it's not that long since he's had those major sort of surgeries. So I really hope that his body holds out. I hope that he wins. I'd like to see him go in there and win convincingly by knockout. Just one more night. That's what I would love. I have been a big Haye fan for many years, but I agree with you, Damien. It is getting to the stage where he's sort of, the interest is waning. But I do hope that he's got just one more left in him. I think he's good enough if he's fit enough. I would hate for him to sort of go out in the same fashion he did in the first one, not because he was knocked out, but because his injuries mean that he can't carry on. So I just want him to catch him clean, and I'm going for Haye knocking him out before round 6. That's what I would like to see, and I hope that's the case. So we've got Damien. You gave us that one. What did you say for yourself?
I'd probably say Haye sort of late round knockout, sort of maybe
Haye late round knockout,
7 to 12, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Just while we're on the heavyweight scene, Tyson Fury's back.
Yeah. Great stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm
Happy about
pleased.
that.
I'm
Yeah,
pleased. Yeah, I mean, he didn't lose the linear championship
No.
in the ring.
Not at all.
No.
In fact, the IBF were super quick to try and take a belt off him after he'd beat Vlad, which was always disappointing. Then you had all the stuff with the drugs and whatnot, which never really sort of was, you know, in my eyes, it just seemed a bit weird. He'd said a few controversial things, and then before you know it, there was this sort of drugs thing going on.
Yeah, it's not their right to get him, wouldn't they? Really?
Yeah,
Right
yes.
to get him.
Certainly, he wasn't the poster boy for boxing.
No.
The boxing
But
wanted.
he's definitely the personality that boxing needs, in my opinion.
Yeah, but
really is.
he is a loose cannon,
Yeah, he is.
and that's the problem. You couldn't put him on a panel show. He's not like a David Haye or an Amir Khan, or you could put him somewhere on the telly, mainstream media,
No.
because of what he's going to say. You don't know what he's going to say. And I don't think Tyson Fury knows what he's going to say either. I mean, he
Beauty of it.
seems a little bit more settled now because he's happier and he's lost the weight. But I mean, if you watch loads of sort of Tyson Fury interviews on YouTube, one day he's up, one day he's down, one day he's mega religious, the next day he's saying ridiculous stuff. So he's all over the shop. So hopefully he's got a handle on that now. He's certainly got a handle on his size because he's lost
Yeah, he's done really well.
a tremendous amount of weight to get to this stage. He's now under Frank Warren.
Yeah. Because I
Used-
think probably Billy Joe put him onto Warren, didn't he?
yeah, I mean Mick Hennessy has been around for ages. I don't know what's happened there, whether they've just sort of agreed to part or whether Frank Warren's just sort of come in and swooped him away. But you know, I think it's now lined up, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Damien? You seem pretty pleased that he's back.
Yeah, I'm very happy. I've always been a fan of his, and in that respect, until he gets beaten, I don't think anyone has a real claim. They own belts. That linear title is still his. He's the man who beat the man.
Yeah.
A lot of people discredit him. I think it's more because of, like you say, he's a bit of a loose cannon. He says what he feels. But I, again, like with Tony Bellew, I like that side of like Tony Bellew, the Tyson Furies, the Billy Joe Saunders. They say what they feel, and I think people should just be less liberal-minded and a bit less spineless. And just, if you don't like what they're saying, just switch off.
Yeah.
Don't complain and moan and whinge. And you can't say this, you can't say that. I hate that in that, and then in society, you just let people say what they want to say, and that's their viewpoint.
I did see an interview today where someone was trying to do it again to him,
Yeah.
and they were like asking sort of leading questions,
Provocative.
and he just said no comment,
Yeah,
no
no
comment,
comment, no
just
comment.
about boxing,
Yeah,
no
that's it.
comment,
Yeah,
and then he wanted to
Yeah.
quickly end it
Yeah.
because you know they're trying to catch him out,
Yeah.
and he's been caught out before.
Yeah.
He's a sportsman, and they shouldn't be asking him stuff about other stuff.
No.
Ask him about the
They're
boxing.
just trying to drag him back, and that's the thing. He wants to focus on where he is now, not where he was. So I'm all for that. He's done what he's done. Now he's where he is. So he's got his promotion sorted out. He's got himself sorted out. He's looking sharp. He's looking healthy. I'm watching some of the YouTube channels and watching interviews with him at the press conference yesterday or the day before, and watching that, and it was very funny throughout there.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
he was sat at the table with Frank Warren and Nathan Gorman, the heavyweight, coming through, and they've been sparring together. And I've seen a few of Nathan's early fights when he was at Warsaw Town Hall, and sort of seeing him develop and coming through, and then working in that same camp with Ricky Hatton. It's great for that side of boxing, and then for Frank Warren now, he's got that stable together with Nathan Gorman, Tyson Fury, Daniel Dubois. He's got some really interesting heavyweights, and it's a good time for Frank Warren and Box Nation, that kind of stable. But I'm really pleased to see him come back, to see him have a few warm fights, and then maybe late this year or early this time next year, 2019. The heavyweight scene, depending on what happens between AJ and Wilder, if there's been unification, he's definitely there.
Yeah.
And I think maybe he will say it, maybe he won't say it, but I think in the quiet time, I think AJ knows he's got to beat him, because they'll always say, well, that belt wasn't given to him. He had to beat Charles Martin, which he did comfortably, and that wasn't really much of a challenge for him. And AJ was levels above. But I think he knows if he gets that man, the lineal champion, then he's got that claim to say, well, I beat the man that beat the man.
Yeah, absolutely.
For me, Fury still went to beat Klitschko at the time, was 10, 11 years champion in his backyard in Germany.
Yeah.
And even though it wasn't the prettiest performance, tactically he did what he had to do. And he just, I think Klitschko just didn't know when to throw his right hand. I think it's the least times he's thrown his right hand in any professional fight. He's about 50, 60 punches the whole contest, and that's just not Klitschko.
And the Fury camp, credit to him, went to Germany and didn't put up with the Klitschko nonsense.
No, there's loads of stuff.
Canvas
and the canvas stuff and the
wraps
hand wraps without them being in the room.
All stuff that I think that the Klitschkos have been doing for years, having the bigger brother in there looking over, trying to intimidate him. That was why it was Chisora, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Chisora wasn't happy with how he was being treated by him. And Chisora probably reacted in the wrong way, but he reacted in a way that he thought was fit. But yeah, I have to say with Klitschko, I think outside the ring he's been a statesman. But sometimes when I was watching him, it was all the jab and the grab, and he was just using all of his advantages and illegal advantages as well sometimes.
The leaning.
The leaning, and he was never going to get told off by the ref. He was never going to get.
Yeah, it was that kind of poster boy. He was because he was
Klitschko, isn't he?
Yeah, it was Klitschko because he kept himself outside the ring. He was so clean that he was the face that boxing wanted. It doesn't take him away from his performance. He was a great champion, and I'm a big fan of Klitschko, both the Klitschkos. And it's just a shame to have seen them gone from the scene. A lot of people think they don't like them, but I'm big fans. But within the fights, and I went to Germany and saw him fight Francesco Pianetta in Mannheim, and watching that fight live, and when you're that close and you're seeing it live, it is any means necessary, fair or unfair, to win. And he would do his own, jab and straight down the middle and do his punches, but then as soon as the other guy tried to do anything, he'd just negate their attack by just grabbing hold and stifling them. And you just saw his tactic. It wasn't a case of that he outboxed or he was better. They didn't get the chance. He just didn't give them the chance to perform and throw their hands and whatever.
And that's props to Tyson Fury, because he didn't allow that to happen, did he?
No, he didn't.
And look how many Americans went across. Good Americans that went across and just capitulated. Didn't do anything what they said they were going to do.
No, too many people just stand in front of Klitschko. They got mesmerised. He was like a snake charmer. They just sort of stood there and looked at him and
they never knocked out.
What they were doing.
I think the size helped a lot though for Fury, didn't it? Because you can't lean and do what you could do against smaller heavyweights.
No, it was too big a man. It was 3-4 inches taller, maybe a stone or so. But I think the weights were quite similar fight time. But it was just physically as big or bigger and stronger. Youth perhaps on his side, a little bit of extra fitness, bit of extra drive. And he just didn't let Klitschko settle, and still for me he's the man.
I think personality-wise as well, he's entertaining. He brings something to the game, and people can get all hung up on sort of things that he says, but he is funny. He does say stuff, and he is hilarious. I mean, and I watched the other day when he turned up to that press conference and dressed as Batman. I mean. No one who does that. Who does that? And,
he does.
And that I think the game does need that as well. It needs the characters.
Definitely.
Just quickly before we move off the heavyweights, David Price, should he retire?
I don't know. I think he's found his mojo in the last fight. I think.
Stuff I've been reading. It's almost as if that is sprung him forward, and rather than thinking, you know what, I'm getting some bad knockouts here, it seems to be reversed. He's actually said he's enjoyed it more than any fight he's ever had. It was a horrible knockout. It was really sickening to watch, but he seems to think that he's now pushed him on, and rather than sort of going ward level, he's sort of perhaps accepted a bit that perhaps I'm going too far, I'll go for European. And it seems to have given him that sort of life, because in some respects I can see his point, because he rocked Povetkin, and without those ropes, Povetkin was down.
And I don't understand why the ref suddenly jumped in to issue an 8 count.
He hadn't gone down.
He hadn't gone down. I thought that was really strange.
Price should have piled in there and finished him off. So he's definitely got the strength and the ability. An interview I saw with Tony Bellew after the fight, they're close friends. Tony was gutted for him, and I know that Price has got all the tools. You talk about seeing someone. He's got what it takes. He's just had that run of bad luck, and he's just getting some bad knockouts. And the first time that he hit the deck with Povetkin, he was fine, and he smacked the floor, and he's still frustrated. And he's just had a run of bad luck, and I wish him well.
You've got to say be careful.
With
the heavyweights and the power.
And you think long term. Down the road, is he putting himself in danger? But it's his life. If it's given him, it spurred him on to think, actually, you know what, I was that close, because it was a fine line between me stopping him and him stopping me. It was just it was going to go first. in that respect, you think, you know what, I can't criticise him, and if he wants to push on and go for a European title, then wish him well.
I'd like to see him retire. I
Yeah,
really would.
I understand that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was a sickening knockout. But just how things have happened for him in some of the fights, when there's been times when he's gassed out and he's literally just been slumped over. And I think he's had plenty of opportunities now to find out in his own heart whether or not he could do it.
Yeah.
And for his own safety, I think he should just retire.
Yeah, I agree.
Briefly, before we go on to the last fight that we're going to do a prediction for, which is Lomachenko versus Linares, we cannot move on without talking about Canelo. Is Canelo a drugs cheat or not?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
he is, because it's happened, hasn't it? But like,
Yeah, but is it
but
meat?
it's intentional.
Is
No.
it meat? Contaminated meat?
The Klangate
No.
scandal.
You know what you're eating. Again, certain boxers, Billy Joe Saunders, and there was somebody else, I can't remember who it was, but they've done videos, and they've said, they're absolute outright cheats. They should be banned. Simple as that.
A 6-month ban.
Which is
Terrible.
nothing.
Absolutely terrible.
Alvarez is a boxing cash cow.
I think this is probably why he.
I think this is just politics behind the scene of them just that they can't afford, or they don't want to lose someone that can generate so much interest through the Golovkin fights. They don't want to lose someone that can generate that kind of earning, and they're going to slap on the wrist. So that basically sets the standard. If someone turns pro, and they do the same sort of thing, that they know, well, if you give me more than 6 months, then I'll sue you for because he got that, so then therefore I should get the same treatment. So you can't give someone a 2-year ban or a life ban because you only gave him 6 months. So they're getting themselves they've backed themselves into a corner where they're saying, well, basically, if you do this, it's a 6-month ban. That's like a training camp.
I think it makes you think as well. Was he like it for the first fight?
He looked.
He was a big chap, wasn't he? In the first fight, which makes you think. What level would he be at? Without it,
it's just massively disappointing.
It is,
really.
But perhaps he thought he had a better chance against Golovkin, and because he didn't come close to stopping him, he's just sort of said, "Well, I'll take the unfair advantage and take that route because I want to beat this guy."
Yeah.
But he's not really beating him, is he?
No,
he's cheap.
No.
But like you say there, if he was like that before, then Golovkin probably would have stopped him or done more damage to him.
I think the problem with drugs in boxing is different to drugs in sprinting. Drugs in sprinting gives them a couple of yards. Drugs in boxing could lead to somebody dying, and
that's what Billy Joe Saunders said in this video. He said basically if he finds someone that is tested positive and someone dies in the ring, that's murder. Because you've intentionally done something to yourself, which gives you that Ivan Drago factor of you're.
I mean, it was all the loaded gloves of Louis Resto, wasn't it? I mean, that's like gone down as one of the most shocking things. But if you're putting something in your body that is making you better, stronger, whatever, faster. Or even the losing of the weight, because clenbuterol is weight loss, I think, helps with the stripping down. And he's always been the kind of boxer that would strip down, and then obviously on fight night he's big as a house.
Rehydrate.
See, it's just a shame, isn't it?
Because he's such a talent.
Really looking forward to that fight as well.
Really looking forward to the fight. At first, I think they were just going to carry on. They didn't seem like they were going to even ban him.
I thought that,
and then now today, I've seen that they've said that they've got some hair samples which prove that it was contaminated meat. And you just wonder whether or not they're just clutching at straws to try and rescue, as you say, the cash cow.
It's damage limitation. That's the point that some of these interesting videos have made. I think go back to Tony Bellew again. He said what's annoying him is that they're not saying what it is. They're saying that he's failed, but let's say, for instance, that they're not providing stats. So Tony Bellew's point was, it's not a case of they're saying, well, we've found this. It's, well how much? So say if naturally occurring there was 10% in your system and they found 12, then it's a hair's breadth. So something like that could have taken him over. But say if naturally you're 10% and they found his body was 57%, then clearly. So he was saying, well, but they won't provide it. They're just saying he's failed. But is it a close thing? Is it a massive thing? And he said that's where we need to open up and get these scientists. They're clever. They have all these DNA in samples. They're good enough to know exactly how far was it. 10 times over the limit, 1,000 times over the limit. But they won't give that information.
But the level also could be that he just misjudged the dates, which obviously with the Olympic sprinters and stuff, sometimes they get caught out because they've just got their dates on their diary wrong of when they should have come off a certain drug, which is, it's just it's sad really that we're at that stage with sports, but there's so much money involved. You can see why that they're taking the risks.
For me though, if we could just quickly touch on it, I mean, potential Billy Joe Saunders down the line with Golovkin.
Yeah,
I think that'd be a good.
Who do you reckon?
What, are we doing predictions now, are we?
Well, it's a long way off. It hasn't even been made as a fight, but
I mean, I
fantasy match.
I think the way Billy Joe performed against Lemieux, I couldn't rule him out.
Right. Okay. So you think?
Yeah. Okay. I'll say Billy Joe.
Billy Joe.
Yeah.
What would you say?
Yeah, Billy Joe points. Yes, because was it Daniel Jacobs? Golovkin. I thought Jacobs beat Golovkin in that fight.
Is this Southpaws going for Southpaws here? Is this what's happening?
An aging Golovkin though as well, isn't it?
No, I just think Billy Joe, and he said himself, he thinks that fight he might have put top contenders off because it was such a great performance, and that's the famous swing, and he's looking out to the crowd like, where did that one go? It was so on point for that fight.
Really good, wasn't it?
I think he put that performance against the Golovkin. Golovkin's great if they can hit them. And he was just so elusive, and then come back with some great counters. I've got Billy Joe on points quite comfortably.
For the record, Triple G every single day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just think he's
quite easily, or.
It take him a little while to catch up with him, but when he catches up with
stoppage,
him,
you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's a beast.
Billy Joe's got.
He's a beast.
Chin on him now, isn't he?
He's a beast. But this guy's a beast.
He is. Yeah.
He gets hit, and he's hitting the other guy, and the other guy falls, and he's just like shakes it off. I just think he's a beast.
But he's aging as well, though.
Yeah, but look how he trains. He's not going out. He's not abusing his body in any way. He's not. He's the real deal.
He's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see that fight fairly soon, actually. So it doesn't go another year or two. So he does age more. So you know what I mean. Yeah. Especially now we've made predictions at this early stage. But I do think
if it ever comes about.
I do think Triple G. I don't think I would bet against him at this point.
No.
Which leads us on
leads us on to this fella, this Ukrainian
Lomachenko, who
high tech.
Yeah, he's going to be fighting Haye Linares, and we've saw quite a bit of Linares, haven't we, with the fights?
Yeah, crawler and stuff, and
and he's great. He's class. That's on Saturday, 12th of May. Lomachenko will be wearing his rival gloves, I would imagine, and Linares is a bit of an interesting one when it comes to his gloves. He's wore Fly, he's wore Grant, he's wore Everlast, he's wore Reyes, and he's wore Winning. So I don't think Haye Linares has really got a favourite glove, although he was more recently, he was favouring Fly gloves, but he just seems to...
You know when he fights on on a matchroom show, I find that if people fight on matchroom shows, they do tend to wear the opponents do tend to wear Fly gloves, don't they?
Yeah. I'll tell you what it is, it's the sanction of the gloves in America.
Oh, right, okay.
So sometimes if say Fly hasn't got a sanction in a certain state, then they have to use another glove, and of course Grant and whatnot, Everlast, they'll have sanctions
Quite new, aren't they, Fly as well,
all in place, and I think it's quite a lengthy process to get that sanction in place as well.
Okay, that makes sense.
So with regards to the actual fight, my point of view, I think Lomachenko is hard to bet against. When he fought Rigondeaux, I did stick my neck out because I thought, but I've learnt my lesson, and I just think he's just so good. I just think he's amazing, and I don't think there's anybody to touch him. So my prediction for this fight would be, although I do like Linares as a fighter, I think he is class. Lomachenko to win, ref stopping it, round 8.
Ref stopping it?
Ref stopping it.
That's a very exact prediction.
Yeah. Better than we can all say before 6 or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm going on the nail, round 8, refs jumping in and saving him.
Is it a save, or is it yet another no-mass? Because the last
no.
I
think Linares will...
Lomachenko,
I don't think
he'll...
he'll
5 fights?
I don't think he'll quit.
Last 4 fights
quit
straight.
through pain, do they quit through embarrassment more than anything?
Yeah.
They
Frustration.
They can't outskill him, so they don't bother, do they? That's what it is.
Yeah, but I don't think we'll have that with Linares.
I think we will.
Is that...
That's your show?
Yeah, I think he will. I think about...
You can't make everyone quit, surely.
Round 7 or 8.
On the stool, All
So
right.
On the
Yeah.
on the stool, yeah.
Similar time, you think the
Mhm.
stoppage, round 8, you're saying quit round 8.
Mm.
Yeah. How about you?
It's got to be Lomachenko, same. I thought Rigondeaux would provide some answers to how you beat this guy. I know very early on Lomachenko lost a fight, but
Salido, wasn't it?
yeah, that was very
He
early on.
roughhoused him.
Yeah,
It was low blows,
Oh,
left,
he
right,
yeah.
and
proper
centre.
roughhoused
but
him.
then Linares looks back at that and thinks maybe that's the way to go. He's not stand off and boxing. He's getting there and
I don't think Linares
fight,
is that type of person that would roughhouse in the way
No.
that guy
But he's
did.
the bigger man, and that's the thing with Rigondeaux coming up. Linares, I think there's a 5, 6, 7 pounds advantage. Linares is way, so he's the bigger man because Lomachenko's going up.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm not sure if there's a clause of rehydration before the actual weighing compared to the fight, but Linares could end up being £7 plus heavier on the night.
Yeah.
So, that in mind, the roughhouse tactic, being a slightly bigger half a stone, lean on him, tire him, not let him do that, frustrate him. But I still, if Linares does it, then so be it. But
Yeah.
I just Lomachenko points. It just goes distance.
Yeah.
I don't think Lomachenko is going to stop him, or Linares is going to be again that frustrated. But then I wouldn't have said Rigondeaux was going to get frustrated. But I'll just Lomachenko points. But
Was it-
you two are probably closer. But I'll go points.
Linares, Kevin Mitchell give him a good
Yeah, he
shot,
did.
didn't
Yeah, he
And
did.
Crawler did.
He
Yeah.
gets hit quite a lot, I
Yeah.
think. Linares
Yeah.
does.
And no disrespect to Mitchell or Crawler,
Yeah.
but they're not Lomachenko.
No, they're not.
I think going back for a sec to what you said about him roughing him up, I think Lomachenko would definitely look at that first fight and he'd think, right, where did I go wrong there? And
Yeah.
I think he's evolved so
Yeah.
much through every fight.
Yeah, he hasn't
I'm
faced him again though, has he?
He's
No,
tried
he's
to,
been
though.
trying,
It's
hasn't he?
decision. And
I think you wouldn't know, would you? Be like, I'd be
Oh,
like Lomachenko.
Yeah, he'd take that. He'd take that victory.
Yeah.
It's something to tell the grandkids.
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
one.
it was a seasoned professional. I mean, it wasn't like it was a sort of fresh face that was similar. You know, it was. I think at the time of the fight here, I'm looking on BoxRec, it was 41-12.
Yeah.
So he was a seasoned pro, knew the
Mm.
tricks of the trade against
And-
someone that was his second
His
pro
second
fight.
fight, yeah.
And it obviously amateur was class,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
then second, this is the professional game, and he roughhoused him.
Was it for a title?
No, I think
it was WBO World Featherweight title.
Yeah.
Vacant.
Second fight.
Second fight.
Yeah.
That's how much they
Well,
raised him.
it's-
obviously.
His first fight, Ramirez, was WBO International Featherweight.
Yeah.
So that's an international, not a world. But his second pro fight was a world
Still,
title.
That
Yeah.
must be
Lost
a
split decision.
record.
Yeah. Just for anybody to go in there, but then after his sort of 300 odd.
Yeah, after his amateur
amateur
career, it's
career.
probably the best amateur record ever.
Yeah.
Then you straight away professional, he was going straight into
And he did the World Series of Boxing as well,
Yeah,
didn't he?
yeah.
Which I think
Yeah.
sort of elevates you
Yeah.
a bit, doesn't it, in the pro ranks.
Yeah. So
Yes.
we're all in agreement. Lomachenko will win in some way.
Yeah.
Whether it be points, stoppage, or making him quit on
Another
the
no
stool
mass.
again, which is
That'd be 5.
5 in a row. Would that
It
be?
will be. You've
Yeah.
already got 4 now.
Yeah.
I think something to touch on as well, going back to David Haye and Bellew, is Linares' his trainer isn't he's not training Linares. His usual trainer isn't
Mhm.
training Linares for this fight because he's going to train David Haye for the
Oh
Bellew
right,
fight,
okay.
isn't he?
Yeah.
So it might affect have negative impact on Linares, the fact that he's
Yeah, it might do.
having a new trainer and stuff as
Possibly.
well.
Yeah. I don't think there's anybody to touch Lomachenko. I think he's just got such a style, and he's had that much experience as an amateur.
Yeah.
He's kind of worked it out,
Yeah.
and I'll try and watch, but it's more difficult for me because I'm not a southpaw. So some of the stuff he does wouldn't work for me. But you guys, you ought to be like
I love
proper
him. Yeah.
watching
Yeah,
him all the
absolutely.
time and doing little things.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
They are him and then and Billy Joe.
See, I thought-
you watched those.
Yeah, I thought
Good examples.
Rigondeaux. I thought he was the man. You know, I used
Yeah,
to watch him thinking,
Southpaw,
well,
yeah.
he's going to beat Rigondeaux,
Yeah,
but then
yeah.
Lomachenko game
Yeah,
comes along,
and he's made good fighters quit.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Walters was a heavy hitter, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Nicholas
he was.
Walters.
Yeah, he was.
He was a heavy hitter, and he
Yeah.
was quitting. He quit on his stool as well. So that's this time's fight discussion. We've made the predictions. Just want to touch on before we sort of wrap up. Since we last did a fight discussion, Damien did have a boxing match, a white collar match, which he won. The lad didn't come out for the second round after receiving some pretty hefty blows from Damien. And do you want to say anything about the victory, mate?
No, just thank you for training and
No problem. It was
put me through it for 3 months.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
it was ace. It was an ace journey. It had its
Yeah.
ups and its downs,
Yeah.
but the on the night it was superb.
Yeah, it was
so,
a great experience, and
yeah.
it raised money for Cancer Research UK. Great charity. So I think UWCB now have just tipped 13 million they've now raised
All right,
for cancer
excellent.
research. So
Yeah, fantastic.
keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely great. So on that point, just like to say, keep watching Fit to Box channel. Please like and subscribe, and I will speak to you soon.